you are interested in how the body shapes the mind, you've likely heard about body ownership illusions. Body ownership illusions are a class of scientific experiments where participants' real bodies are replaced by fake ones to study effects on, for instance, behaviors and attitudes. While the experimental paradigm originates from the rubber hand illusion, studies today oftentimes use virtual reality technology because of the potential to render realistically looking bodies that participants can control with their own limbs. Using VR, researchers have, for instance, changed participants' gender, age, and skin color to understand how such changes to our bodies affect biases. As consumer VR technology has matured, a host of such studies have been conducted in diverse areas such as how body changes affect health decisions, empathy and emotions, and cognitive and motor performance, to name a few. Body ownership illusions are being conducted across scientific disciplines such as psychology, philosophy, and computer science. Fundamental concepts such as agency and body ownership are measured, analyzed, and interpreted in disparate ways across empirical studies. Experimental protocols are developed ad hoc, and important considerations about experimental design and procedures are being decided without empirical evidence to support such decisions. These issues has led to what we consider a terminological Gordian knot in the science of body ownership illusions. This paper seeks to summarize, quantify, and ultimately support researchers in justifying decisions when designing research using body ownership illusions. We reviewed 111 papers and conducted a meta-analysis of 92 papers. The review summarizes common measurements, avatar alterations, perspectives, induction procedures, experimental designs, statistical practices, and demographics of a total of approximately 5,000 participants. In the meta-analysis, we study the importance for choices in experimental variation, such as effects of gender, experimental design, use of mirrors, or type of independent variable. The collected data showed slightly more than one experiment per paper, with a mean of about 22 participants per experimental group. Roughly half of the participants were male and female. The average statistical power is low, about 50%. Half of the surveyed studies used an induction phase wherein participants are instructed to inspect their virtual bodies to induce embodiment of the virtual avatar. That phase lasts, on average, about 3 minutes. The length of the induction phase is not correlated to participants' body ownership score. The most important measurement of embodiment, body ownership, is subjectively measured across most studies. It is sometimes referred to as VR body, my body, or sense of ownership. Similarly, agency is most often measured, also with a range of different names such as control or my movements. Other common subjective measurements include mirror body, which is body ownership as experienced through a virtual mirror, and two bodies, a measurement used as a control variable, which is supposed not to vary with experimental manipulation. Agency is, on average, rated higher than body ownership, as this figure shows. Mirror body and body ownership are almost identical, hence, most likely measuring the same thing. When reviewing papers, we noted which questionnaire was referenced. As this figure attests, most studies in body ownership illusions using VR reference an embodiment questionnaire developed for the rubber hand illusion that employed non-validated, ad hoc developed single-item measures. Many other papers reference questionnaires of papers that reference other papers, and in turn, by transitive relationship, most papers in the field use the embodiment questionnaire of the rubber hand illusion published a long time before the proliferation of modern consumer VR technology. Body ownership illusion studies employ a range of statistical tests. In reviewing the most commonly employed questionnaires, we noted that these psychometric tools were developed with suggested statistical analyses ranging from t-tests, logistic regressions, and Friedman-Orwell-Coxon tests. The column pseudo-R in this table shows canonical tests suggested by authors. Needless to say that the papers in the sample employing these questionnaires oftentimes employ other tests than those suggested, leading to an empirical science of divergent statistical practices. Moving on to the meta-analytical part, we find that most studies employ within subjects designs. These studies, unsurprisingly, also account for the largest effect sizes on body ownership. Categorizing the independent variable for each study allows us to estimate which types of avatar disruptions cause the biggest differences on subjective embodiment. We find that all bodily alterations, such as modifications to appearance, perspective, or visuomotor or tactile incongruence, significantly affect embodiment scores. Of all avatar manipulations, visuomotor synchrony renders the largest effect on body ownership. We found that about half of the studies had a virtual mirror present in the scene that allows participants to see themselves. Presence of mirrors had a slightly negative impact on body ownership. We speculate that studies with mirrors are either incomparable to those with mirrors because of other procedural differences, or that the experience of seeing one's avatar in a mirror might in fact distort the experience of owning a virtual body due to visual misalignment. We also analyzed whether body ownership illusions have a gendered difference, such as known from, for instance, VR sickness. In comparing studies employing only one gender, we did not uncover differences across effect sizes for embodiment caused by participants' gender. Note also that studies in this domain are typically evenly distributed with regards to gender. There are many details in the paper that both summarizes the field, the common experimental decisions, and estimates of their effect on embodiment. The field of body ownership illusions is a research tradition that deals with fundamental questions about being. It draws upon various traditions, and it is a generous and amusing research topic. Nevertheless, it is safe to say that much is left to be desired with regards to improving the science of body ownership illusions. The field needs standardized methods, measurements, and analyses. It needs larger sample sizes and general increased validity. It is our hope that this paper can push towards this agenda in becoming a reference for conducting better research in understanding how bodies shape minds using virtual reality. Thank you for your time.